right, awesome. So just to kind of recap, because we had this conversation a little bit beforehand, but then we wanted to record it for
Mhm.
posterity's sake and start this like podcasty thing of the founders. We have been talking about using ChatGPT in our businesses, and right now we're talking about yours with your business strategy.
Mhm.
So go ahead, talk about your strategy, what it is that you were talking about, and like kind of like your action plans or whatever. I think
Right.
you had said that you had given it some of your goals, and then you're kind of like working together on that.
Right. So at the moment, I'm working on my key objectives for my first year, and I'm breaking it down into quarters. So I'm doing 3 goals per quarter. Adding up to 12 goals throughout the year. Trying to keep it as simple as possible. Well, simple but challenging. You don't want to go too simple, but so yeah, like the first quarter, I put in, some things that I think I really need to have to start establishing myself as a company, and then I'm using ChatGTP to kind of uh, you know, bounce off of that. So it's like, okay, this is what I want to do in my first quarter. What would be another good three to, look into in my second quarter so that way, I can continue the smooth transition into it after, you know, establishing my first.
Yeah. So are you having challenges, or are you because initially when you called me, you called up, or was it mostly just to like talk about it and like be like,
Yeah.
yo, dude, chat's awesome, or do you have like
I
questions
mean,
or whatever?
I'm learning as I go because after talking to you yesterday and trying to talk to it more as a person instead of as a thing kind of helps out because I'm not really like what should I ask ChatGTP? You know what I mean? Like how do I word it? It's now I'm just talking to it like as if I'm talking to you right now. So
Yeah.
it's like you
Have
said,
you
trying to.
I'm curious if you, because we talked about kind of like giving it a persona, which is
Hmm.
awesome about. Like I have one string that's for cooking,
Yeah.
and I actually changed the persona today, and I was like, hey, so here I want you to talk to me like you're my Italian grandmother, and I gave it like details, like she sometimes would throw in Italian words because she was first generation American, and so like
Yeah.
her parents spoke just and so like and it even said like, oh, just like Nona likes, and I was like, actually we called her Mima, that's what she went by. It's like, oh yeah, of course, Mima, and like so I could take on roles, which is super cool. But I'm curious because you have like such a characteristic way of talking. A lot of
Yeah.
times, like just saying hello, you're like peace, peace, right? And like certain things like let's run it. And what's your yeah, usually when you close out, instead of saying bye, you say peace. Like it's just
Oh,
one piece, right? And so I'm curious, have you tried to kind of teach it how you speak with kind of that jargon? Would that make any, I don't want to say make any sense to you, but like, would that do anything for you? Because like I was saying, when I was talking to chat, I didn't like how formal it was, and it took me
right.
a few prompts to get it to speak more casually, but even not just casually. Like I'm like, no, that's a little too casual, or like
Right.
this is, can you use these words instead of that? So that it was more like almost like I'm talking to not myself, but like a little bit more of what resonates with me.
Right. Right. Uh well, for this particular thing, I haven't been doing that because I'm trying to keep it a little bit more professional with the business plan. So I've been kind of speaking more properly, so to speak, with it. But I did put in a prompt, talk to me as a friend that's also a business professional that's helping me out
Yeah.
with my plan.
Yeah. I think you could actually, well, I mean, you could look at it two different ways.
Mhm.
Because what I don't want for you is to lose your essence in
Right,
this business planning. And I know that for myself, it took me a long time to get to this like authentic freedom where like it was in there for me.
hmm
But I was kind of doing this corporate speak thing. It's just trying to like things were kind of getting filtered a certain way.
Right, right,
Um, and it's like, and I don't want you to lose. And I'm not saying you are, but this
right.
is just something. I don't want you to lose your special voice in trying to be quote unquote business
Well, like
like, you know.
when I say like I have it delivered to me in a business professional way, but I do go in and I edit like certain things I just don't say. You know what I mean? So I go in and I
Hmm.
change it up a bit just to make it feel more me.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, the business side of me, not like I can't say certain things, business wise as I do, as a friend to people. So
Yeah. Well, I suppose it also depends on who your target audience is.
right,
Also,
right.
that's the other thing. Like I've been having that filter for myself. Everybody does. Everybody
Hmm.
starts with that filter because they don't really know how to either release it or there's uh, some sort of blockage that we're worried about being uh, judged
Right,
based off
right.
of, being too informal or whatever. For me, I know that my informality, how did I put it? And this is something that I discussed with chat, and like we kind of defined it really well. I said it was something like accessibly professional. So there's like I can totally speak like to the president of the United States and be professional and
Hmm.
cordial and like dress the right way, but at the same time I can totally lean back and just have a conversation and
Right.
kind of be relaxed even with the president. It's like, all right, I kick back, just give me my coffee, I'm good you know um so that's where at least chat has helped me kind of feel a little bit better and confident with my own voice and like and get to there. So like for you, um who's your target who is your target audience?
So for Untapped Media Group, I'm looking to target small businesses and upstarts, new upstarts.
Okay, why are you focusing there? I'm not challenging you on that. I'm just curious why that.
Because I feel like a lot of times, it's hard starting a small business and budgeting, stuff for, I guess, media side of things and advertising side of things. And I kind of want to help out, smaller business, especially around where I live at the moment, starting out, because I've noticed that, maybe they don't have certain branding that they should have, like the first spot that I'm going to is this burger joint down the block from my house, and they don't seem to they have branding on their cups, on their bags, or anything along those lines. And I'm like, you know what? You guys make awesome food. You guys been here for decades. You guys should have all of this, and I want to help them out. Build their brand by helping them advertise more. And with especially with upstarts too. I'm thinking it's pretty difficult for them to like focus on how we're going to advertise and how we're going to start whatever it is they're inventing to bring out to the public. So I kind of want to I want to mediate that for. I want to take care of the advertising and brand building for them so they can focus on the stuff that they really want to focus on.
Yeah, so you and I are aligned like perfectly with that. And so, because that's why I asked, because my target audience is small business owners,
Hmm.
entrepreneurs, people that don't speak the lingo, speak the language of
Right.
communications and visual design and like I'm focused primarily on storytelling. And so
Hmm.
like that there's a barber down the street that she's now my permanent barber because I loved her, just like her genuine connection.
Right.
And out here it's very easy for the most part to get to know people, and we're very accessible. Some people actually say that we have a, what is it called, the New England shield, where it's like it's hard to penetrate that shield and we're cold and whatever. And then until you get to know us, and once you do, then we're like we're all best friends. I haven't really had that shield be an issue. I've never, like, very rarely do I run across somebody that has a shield up. At least it doesn't feel like it, but I've heard a
Yeah.
lot about it. So, but anyway, so like I had a great conversation with her, and she's a small business. She's been there for like 20 years or something like that.
Hey,
I'm like, oh man, I want to help tell her story so bad. And like,
right.
just because she's she's a hairdresser, or not, she's not even a hairdresser, and maybe she does that, but like she's listed as a barber, which as a guy I know it's dumb, but it's like judging a book by its cover. I want to go to a barber, not a hairdresser, even if it's the same damn person. It's like a barber shop feels different than a hairdresser
It does. It
parlor or
does.
whatever. It's
Hair
yeah,
parlor, whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Hairdressers, hair parlor. It's all the same thing.
yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I totally get where you're coming from for that.
Yeah.
um
And tacking on to the whole storytelling aspect, that's something that I definitely would like to focus on as one of the main, like folks. So I want to develop campaigns for people and brands that actually tell their story and not just like, hey, go follow so and so because X, Y, and Z. I kind of want to, dive into like why they're doing this and who they're doing it for, and the families behind it, and it's. I feel like it's more interesting that way instead of just like a Walmart ad.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually, what you're saying is exactly what I say in my video that's coming out on Friday about,
Hey,
um, how do I put it? Like, I don't want to just sell shoes. I've never wanted to just sell shoes. If there's a
right,
reason behind the shoes, like, gives grandma freedom and flexibility to actually feel comfortable in walking with the grandkids, like that kind of thing. Like, that's why the
yeah,
founder developed those shoes like that. Yeah, let's get behind that. Like,
right,
but if it's just for the sake of making money, not that there's any problem with just making money, that's not where my attentions are. That's not where my passion is. So like I don't,
right,
it's like, hey, there's a million other companies that can do that for you. That's not my specialty, you know.
exactly,
So
exactly.
yeah. So yeah,
I think
we're we're the same company, just East Coast, West Coast.
there you go.
Yeah.
So and working with ChatGPT has been pretty helpful because it's I know my intent for a lot of the things that I want to do, but I just don't know how to word it properly, and that's where
Hmm.
ChatGPT comes in and helps me out with things like that.
Yeah. Have you tried to give it like a dollar amount and saying like this is because you talked about your goals a little bit in your
Yeah,
Q1, Q2, Q3 and all that stuff. Have you talked about I'd like to have, make, I don't know, let's say $100,000 in the next year.
I haven't done that. I haven't even really thought that far into it yet. I've just been mostly, I guess, building the road, the map, I should say,
Yeah.
for what it is I'm trying to do. But I haven't thought about, talking to it about profits or anything at yet. At least it didn't even occur to me till you said it just now. To be honest with you, so that's something I'll definitely have to write down and put on my list.
Yeah. It's one of those things that you don't want to say right off. I mean, depending on what your goal is. I mean, if
Yeah,
somebody's goal is to be like, I need to make $100,000 in the next year, and I don't care how I'm doing it, just give me ideas. Like it can give you ideas. Um, but I told it a couple different lofty goals, and I said, but I waited until like we had this long conversation about my
right.
branding and like my story and what
Mhm.
drives me and like this whole thing. So it understood who I am, what my goals are, who my target audience is, and like this. And even knowing it knows that I don't have the answers for everything. Like I'm not super clear on everything, but that's why I even told him like I'm partnering with you because I need to have a little bit more clarity. So
Right,
I said, this is my dollar amount that I would like to make. I just threw it $100,000 in the next year. I would like to make $100,000. And I said, is that reasonable given everything that we've discussed so far with the strategy, um, and X, Y, and Z. And then it it had told me, it said it's a little bit, what did it say? Not lofty, not adventurous, but something like that. Like it's an ambitious number.
Ah,
But and so that's like, yeah, I mean, I knew it was because I'm starting from scratch. So I don't have any
right,
clients, you know. So it's
right.
like, and then I said, okay, we kind of dove deeper into that. And then probably about 20 minutes later in the conversation, I said, in 5 years, and I knew that this was like way crazy, but who knows? Unless you aim for the stars, you're never going to hit them.
Right.
I said, in 5 years, I want to make $1 million. Given everything that we've talked about, so on and so forth, what are your thoughts on that? And it said again that it was
Ambitious or
ambitious. Yeah, ambitious.
okay. Okay.
And I said, okay, that makes sense. So, given what we've talked about, what would you say is a realistic goal for me, or financial, um, whatever? Like, how much do you think I could make? And one of the other things too that's very important is that
Hmm.
I told it before all this, like in that 20-minute conversation, I said I want to work 6 hours a day, from this time to this time, and like I gave it my schedule. It's like I want an hour break, and um, so it's like that's what I'm looking to do. Now I know I'm going to work more than 6 hours, but I want to eventually create this hamster wheel that is manageable,
Hmm.
and that like my day is 6 hours. So like when I tell it to give me a schedule of like, oh, video production, so ideation and the recording and the video production or whatever, um, I want you to give me a timeline so you can do this too, where it's like, that I have my LinkedIn strategy and my YouTube strategy and my website and this conversation that you and I are having. I imported that into it also. I was like, hey, I'm going to be starting this little podcast thing with my buddy who also has another media production company. We're founders, so on and so forth. I asked it, it's like, is that a good idea to put into incorporate in my strategy, my existing strategy? What are your thoughts on that? How could that be a downfall? Because I think it's great. You think it's great. And I think ultimately it's good. And I see the ideas behind it. But it could also distract me
Mm.
if I start to get too far into it. But it aligns with my brand, it aligns with my authenticity and transparency with um, uh, storytelling and the telling the story of 124 Productions and me,
Right.
and trying to, one of my pillars is empowering through education. And so this is helping. I always see this as helping tear down the veil so that like students can see what the process is. They don't just see the Peter McKinnons of the world. They don't
Mm.
see these like super polished things and guys using red cameras. It's like this kind of conversation.
Right.
Anyway,
See the coal before the diamond, right?
yeah, exactly. So anyway, all this to say, there's a lot that was in this conversation that I had with Chat, um, for it to say, well, $1 million in 5 years is a bit lofty. And it said it is possible, but considering what we've talked about already, I think it said $300,000 to $500,000 in the next 5 years, and that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
That's good. And it did say, and that's taking into account like you're a startup from scratch, and um as you go you grow, so it's, and then I asked it too. I said, based off of what we've talked about, um what other things, what other services could I add to help me reach my goals? And so it gave me
Mhm.
a list of things. So anyway, I bring that up because I feel like, don't I wouldn't necessarily say to focus on the dollar amount right now, but you could just kind of keep that in mind, because those are
Okay.
kinds of conversations that you can have. Like it's 100% like ChatGPT is like having a consultant at your fingertips.
And that's what's crazy about it, man. It's like I don't know. It's it's less intimidating than having like a real consultant in a sense because
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to ask what's actually on my mind.
Hmm.
Like to I guess to AI as opposed to a actual person. So yeah, it's definitely a game changer. It's I'm getting used to it. You know what I mean? But certain things about it is like, I feel like you're just saying that because you're a robot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you can even call it out on that too. You can say like, "Are you just saying that because you're a robot?"
yeah,
I don't. I don't talk to it like it's a robot because I feel bad. And, like it's like, no, man, you're my partner. We're in this together. Like, there's been times where I'm giving away my whole video because I was using 3.5, which is the free one.
yeah. That's what I'm using.
Yeah, it's super quick. It's like instantaneous. And I even said it
Mhm.
like, how'd you do that so fast? Like, how did it even process? Like, you didn't process it. Like, how did you come up with this like laundry list of like good information for me? I didn't even think that the text that I put up would have uploaded by the time
It
that you like. It
it
was so
pops it out.
instantaneous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's like it's a good chunk of information too. It's not like you know a one word answer or anything. It's actually computing and thinking about certain things. You know.
yeah, yeah. Um, but anyway, so I was using 3.5 and the unlimited texting or unlimited messaging or however they put it,
Mhm.
responses is so valuable to me because then I don't have to be filtered and I can tell it things like you were just saying. I don't feel judged. Not that I necessarily would feel judged from a consultant. I am a consultant, so I know
Right,
they're just asking questions or whatever. But
right.
I can share with it an insecurity um, easily, and just be fluid. And and so I felt like I was not cheating, but I was like, oh, 3.5, he's my boy. Yeah, all right. And so I bought 4.0, which is the subscription service every month.
Yeah.
Because it comes with additional features and more words that it can hold in that thread, which is like
Okay.
65,000 words in one conversation versus I think it's like 8,000.
Okay.
And um, 4.0, I was resistant to it. It's like I had been working with you, right, for all this time, and then you're like, "Oh, Dave, I quit. I can't do graphic design anymore. So, I'm retiring. Bye, peace out." And I'm like, "Oh man, I gotta find a new graphic designer. Shit!" And like, it's like nobody's gonna hold up to you. And I had only been working with 3.5 for like a very small amount of time. So anyway, yeah, I don't talk to it like it's a robot. Once in a while, I ask it the Terminator question just to be on the safe side. But
Ah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So please continue. Keep on going with your thought process, what you were talking about.
So yeah, like so I pretty much like let me go back to my first prompt. It was like I'm doing a business plan. I gave it the some of the details of what it is I'm doing, and it broke it down into an outline. Like this is get your mission going, get your key values, or not key value, but yeah, like key stuff going. What up? Need this? Huh? Need some of these? No, I'm good right now. Yeah. And I brought some more. Okay, doke, for sure. And then you know, get your executive summary, company description, service offered, marketing and sales strategy, financial projections, and a lot of that stuff kind of went over my head. So I was like, okay, what is X, Y, and Z? How do I set it up? And it was like, okay, and you broke it down into smaller chunks for me, more digestible chunks that I can understand and kind of, put together into a little roadmap for myself. And yeah, it's pretty much where I'm at right now. So right now, like I said, I'm on the key values for the year, or key objectives. I'm sorry, for the year. And as of now, I've created my mission and my unique value proposition. So I'm kind of jumping around trying to, because I can't really do anything linear because I have ADHD, and
Yeah,
so I have to
that's
like
where
jump around.
honestly I feel like because we had discussed in a different conversation, we had discussed different threads.
Hmm.
I'm looking at my screen right here, and I have ones that like one of them is crafting 124 Productions story. So that's my ChatGPT 4 version. So it's helping me and whatnot. But then I also have another one that I call just for fun. And so once in a while, like I just want to be like, hey, let's have a talk like you're the narrator from Charles Dickens. And just because it's kind of that like ADHD thing of like, okay, I need to kind of like take a break for a sec because a lot of this
Yeah,
stuff gets pretty heavy.
yeah.
And um, so I'm the same way. And then I also have one for cooking, but that's 3.5. Just for fun is 3.5 because they're both free. Um, the one thing that you mentioned that I'd like to touch on, at least for myself, and I'm curious about your thoughts,
Hmm.
is you had mentioned some business terminology, like what was it that you said, like your value statement or whatever it is.
Oh, my unique value proposition and
Yeah,
my mission statement, my key objectives, and my yeah, overview of Untapped Media mission, key objectives, and unique value proposition. So, like, what I bring unique to what am I bringing to the table that's unique to make clients want to work with me in a sense, and
yeah,
that's pretty much my storytelling is what's the unique part of Untapped Hip Hop and how we do it through interviews and branding and like campaigns and stuff. So that's kind of what I'm working with right now, and it can also it's not set in stone. It's something that can evolve and morph as I go along as well.
yeah. So 2 points on that, because I'm curious about your thoughts on like the value statement.
Hmm.
What was it called? Value
Oh,
proposition?
my unique value plan
Yeah, or oh,
or
okay. So I
proposition, unique value
proposition, yeah.
proposition. Yeah.
Uh, So that's a pretty standard term, and I know that
Hmm.
it's very important for business people to understand those terms,
Right.
but I have a harder time using them because, at least for me, um, as soon as I use terms like value propositions or elevator pitch, like I'll say to like chat, like, hey, so given what we've talked about, what would you say is a good elevator pitch and what's a good description for my page? And like,
Hmm.
like, or can you do this within 45 characters? Because on LinkedIn, on mobile, the bit that goes underneath your name is 45 characters. So like
Right.
right now it's founder and principal of 124 Productions, but there's some value in doing other things like, crafting stories that resonate, is
Right.
like a good tagline, but that's over 45 characters. But then anyway, so when I hear words like value proposition,
Hmm.
it immediately kind of, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. It's very good to understand the terminology of the jargon of the industry, and the industry in this case is business.
Right.
But to me, I feel like it immediately puts me in a place of polish and like an ad. And it's like, I know what I can do, and I want to have a conversation with. It doesn't matter who the business owner is. It's
Right.
like I feel like for me, those words get in the way, and I know that it's a good way to help communicate.
Right.
But what are your thoughts? Is that
So
like a good word for you? And it's me just getting hung up on the words. I
yeah.
know that's what it is, and
So
my interpretation of the words.
this is the deal for me. Like to me, my business plan is like if I buy a toy and I get the instructions, right? The instructions going to tell me how to do it in a certain way. But I'm gonna look at it and I'm gonna be like, okay, this is what that means to me, and I'm gonna, process it in my brain to make me understand it. So this is what my business. That's what I essentially how I see my business plan. So I see unique value proposition. I'm not gonna go to a business and be like, oh yeah, this is my unique proposition. I'm be like, hey, this is what I bring to the table for you. You know what I mean? And this is what I would like to. Oh, you still there? Look like you froze.
Oh, see, you froze. So I was
Ah,
okay.
okay.
Okay. I
What did
didn't
it?
want to say anything and like interrupt you, but okay, all right, yeah, yes, we're back up.
Okay, so yeah, so it's like I'm gonna talk to somebody as if like I'm talking to you. Depending, you gotta judge who you're talking to, and then see how you're gonna approach them, right? So,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know that it's a unique value proposition, but if it was the CEO of Nike, I'll say my unique. I talk like that. If it's the burger joint down the block, like this is what I can bring to the table for you, and this is what I specialize in, and talk to them that way.
Yeah. So, well, I actually asked because I'm like, okay, this is a perfect example to use ChatGPT. This is like
Right.
me giving clarity. This is one of those like these conversations. I actually talk to it. So on my phone, I'll I'll activate the like speech to text thing, and so you
Yeah.
just hit the thing, and it listens, and then it'll respond. And there's like
Okay.
five voices or something you can do. I use Cove. I like Cove. He sounds more like me, I guess, but like
Okay.
somebody that's like our age, you know?
Like Bostonian or
No, no, no. I wish. I wish. Like honestly, I would love to write a like I'd love for them to give like Siri, my Siri on my phone is the
yeah.
British female Siri because she sounds so like uh not receptive, but she sounds so like someone I could hang out with. She seems more casual even though she's like, "Oh, the car park is on the right," whatever. Anyway, so um, so I'm like these hangups. I'm like, I know that it's not the problem with the word. It's my feeling on the word, and
Right.
feelings are
Right.
wrapped in something, right? So I asked it. I said, "Can you give me another term for value proposition that's more in my voice?" And this is what it said. A term that might resonate more with your voice and approach could be brand essence. This term reflects the unique combination of skills and values you bring to your clients, emphasizing the core of what makes your services special and beneficial. It
Right.
aligns well with the focus on storytelling and authenticity that is central to 124 Productions. So, like, it's right. I like that word much better, or that phrase much better. I understand that it's essentially the same thing. And if I were to say to a client, like a new client, like, "Oh yeah, the brand essence is, this," and um, they wouldn't really know what I'm talking about. It sounds like I just made up some corny phrase to,
hmm
you know, make a corny phrase to sound more markety. But in my head, already that feels more accessible. So internally, value proposition is brand essence. Like, I don't know. So that's why I was curious what your thoughts were, because that's one of those seemingly dumb hangups. But I've also learned that those things help to, and talking with ChatGPT, uh, in this kind of regard has helped me to get more to the core of me and like these
hmm
these little hangups that I have, and I realize that there's strengths, but now I'm able to define them a little bit better and make things work better for me, but they're the same thing. So that's why I was curious what your thoughts were.
Right. Yeah. I guess I don't have as much as a emotional tie to something because I guess I'm so used to hearing it that way because my mentor in school, that's how he would talk to us. And like, I don't know, for some reason, when I see unique value proposition, I hear my own instructor's voice, and it's kind of like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't know why it's like hits a negative like frequency for me, but that's just what it is. But it's just words,
Yeah,
So anyway,
yeah. Well, words have power. That's why it's called spelling,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So what are your next steps that you're going to be working on for with this?
So like I said, I'm kind of jumping around. I really want to dial down my key whatchamacallits, key objectives. So I'm doing it for the year, and then I'm gonna have like a more broader one for the next, like 5 years or something, just to kind of, like not map them out, but just be like, okay, these are things I would like, future goals and stuff to hit. Um, After that, I mean, I'm looking into. Actually, I'll go through quarter one right now. So, like, So quarter one, website, volume one. I like to say volume because I like records and stuff. So
Yeah, 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 yeah.
volume one,
That's part of your
and
branding.
yeah,
Yeah.
uh, and then content creation. Primarily focusing on YouTube and trickling down content from YouTube onto the other social media platforms. So making one big video and then chopping it up to throw it on IG, TikTok, and X or Twitter, whatever you like to call it. Maybe even some LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So some stuff like that, and trying to secure a few clients. I would like to at least pick up three clients, within this first quarter. So that way I feel like once I do that, even if it's just one client, I feel like that would kind of solidify. I feel, like solid because like, okay, I got a client. You know what I mean? I didn't
Yeah.
have a client yesterday. I got a client today. Awesome. Let's rock this out.
So, what is it about three clients that's the magic number for you?
I am a fan of odd numbers,
Okay.
and I'm a fan of just like doing things in threes, fives, and sevens. So like
Okay.
my lowest is always going to be three, but if I
Okay.
hit one, I'm still happy.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, it's still an odd number, so
Yeah,
yeah. But what happens if you get to two? I mean, you unhappy,
yeah, I gotta get that extra. I gotta get that
you gotta
third
get
one.
that third
So
man.
if I get
Yeah.
one, if I get one, and and it's like was it January, February, March, and it's like February 28th. I'm like, okay, I got the one. If I get two, and it's like February 25th, I'm like, oh, I got to hustle to get this third one. can't do
Hey,
can't do evens.
I want to try something. I noticed this is the second time I've noticed it. Can you actually, what happens? Does anything happen when I give a thumbs up? No. Okay, do me a favor.
I seen earlier it did have like a little,
There
yeah,
we
there it
go.
is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I wonder if that's, I don't think it's Riverside. I think it's your phone because you have the super fancy ultra deluxe iPhone
Uh,
15. And I just, because, like, look, I got nothing.
mhm.
Nobody, my phone doesn't care. My phone doesn't care.
There it
Yep.
is.
All
Yep.
right.
Let me double gun it.
Okay.
Let me see if it.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh.
oh man, with the double gun.
Double. Okay. Okay. Yeah, make me feel inferior. I just have the iPhone 13 Pro Max with like maximum data storage because of all the 4K video I was doing at the time. But
Hey,
whatever. Okay, you can do that.
some of them just have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
It's
you
just.
definitely you have it. You have the X factor. So, um, yeah, I don't so far I don't have any like client um like goals as far as like I want to hit one or two or three or whatever. Right
Okay.
now, my focus has been like I'm actually playing around, toying around with the idea of doing a workshop in like
Oh,
6 months. And so that's a little bit more where my attentions are, and then gearing my social media presence around that, but like in an authentic way. I'm not just trying to sell the workshop. I'm still trying to develop that. So like even in that regard, I asked it. I said, "Is this give me a like a timeline for this workshop?" And then I don't want to like negate the other things that I'm doing, but how can I incorporate that workshop so that I can kind of like ideate and say, "Does this make sense?"
yeah.
Um, and then like how can I incorporate that in the website? Is this a good time to start talking about it? Because January is the like preliminary setting up of like all the back sort of stuff. February is the like the design of the content that's going to go with it, and like March
Hmm.
and so on and so forth. And so I said, is this too early? Because I don't have any content yet. And so it and I, ChatGPT and I, um, went through and kind of talked about this actually like teasing it is very good right now because it kind of gets you a little bit of an idea. And it was
Right.
talking about like, I think March being a good timeline to um, do like early bird specials for the pricing. And I also
Okay.
asked her like, what's a good pricing model? Like, given that I have no audience, I said just assume I have no audience because I don't have like 10,000 people. Like I have a decent amount like on on YouTube, but those are not people that are, because I'm shifting my format and my focus.
Hmm.
The vast majority of people on my YouTube are not going to really carry over to this side of stuff because it's mostly drone people because
Right.
that series of videos took off. Um, so it gave me some clarity with like, is this reasonable? It's like, yeah, totally, it's totally reasonable.
Okay.
But so yeah, I haven't been focusing on getting a client. A little anecdote is that did you see that Founders Corner newsletter that I sent out?
I got the notification. I need to check it out though.
It's like days ago, and you haven't like just been absorbing my
When I
content. And
got it, I was driving home from LAX, so yeah, I forgot to
just
check
ignore the
it.
tra You're sitting in traffic, dude. If you're coming from LAX, you're in like 4 hours of traffic. So that's not an excuse. No, but it's just you don't have to read it. But I just sent it out to friends and professional acquaintances or professional friends that I even say it in there. Like, if you're receiving this, it's because you have shown interest in me or what I'm doing. Feel free to
Right.
unsubscribe. Totally cool. I'm not going to be hurt. But it's just a few paragraphs about what I'm doing and kind of the background. Well, one of the guys that I work with, a manufacturer up in Canada,
Hmm.
he actually reached out after that. He's like, "Hey, I have something that maybe you and I can work with. It's a small budget, and I'll let you know." But like, he's like, I it was like a LinkedIn thing, and
Okay.
so immediately, like it was, I don't know, right after he opened it and he read it, he it made him think about it. And he and I are very good professional colleagues. We run back and forth, and like I can call him at any point in time. He can call me at any point in time. So it's
Yeah.
similar to you and me. He's
Okay.
more of a coding developer, so he speaks a slightly different language, or a very different language than the creative side of things. So, um, but I think that's where uh, like my efforts, I'm trying to get my efforts not necessarily to have those numbers of like I need three, but it's very important, I think, to have that is
Right.
my point. Like
Right.
I'm focused on like the process, I guess, um over the actual number, and I think that that's something that I should incorporate a little bit better in mine. Because like I had asked it, like $1 million or whatever, 100,000, $1 million at different time frames. But I think the client base thing, because I mean, all it takes is one client to pay you $1 million. Like that's
Yeah. Yeah. True. Or what is it? Uh, 10 clients to do 100,000. No. Yeah, 100,000. If you have 10 clients, they give you $100,000 each. Is that a million?
yeah, that'd be $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need it to be the net. It can be the gross. That's totally fine.
Oh yeah, yeah. As
Yeah,
long as it
I
keeps
don't
my
want to be
lights on.
I don't want to be picky.
Yeah. Keep my lights on, I'm happy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
and like just like going forward with the business and outside of the business plan of things, working with Chat GTP, it's starting to like connect things better for me where bridge building is starting to become, important, and talking to a lot of my friends and artists, around here, and just thinking of like things we can do together to build something that's greater than, all of us. And I'm more, I'm more, what's the word? My focus is kind of shifting into, like working alongside other artists as well and collaborating and getting things, things that originally I would try to do by myself. Like maybe, you know, work with the skate company that I've been talking to for a while. And I just had a conversation with my buddy Craig, Madrid Skateboards, and he's been championing me for the last 2 years. And, like the ideas that we've come up with together, and what we want to do for future events is like I need to get this done, but I can't do it by myself because just financial wise at the moment, and I can't create the boards that I need without Craig. So I'm more open now. I'm still a bit selective on who I work with, because I gotta maintain a good you know look on things. You can't just go out and work with anybody willy nilly. You know what I mean? You gotta put on the business condom and make sure you don't catch nothing.
I
So,
haven't
yeah.
heard that one
So
before.
that just came up with
Yeah.
it right now. So
You
so
better
yeah.
trademark that.
Oh man,
You
in
should
the
write a
future,
book, The Business Condom.
the business condom. There we
Subtitle,
go.
make sure you don't catch nothing. Yeah.
Patent pending. Whoever watches this.
Yeah.
so, so yeah,
You
like
heard it here first. Yeah.
yeah, business condoms. Invest. But yeah, I'm looking to actually try to work with try to get help from other people that who've been rocking with me and trying to find, because it's one of those things where it's like, how do I ask for money? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's always been like an awkward thing for me. And I'm having a plan is a good step forward in that direction. Like, okay, you guys know me. You guys already know what I do. When I have a plan, I execute it. It's probably not going to be 100% executed, but it's damn close. So if I'm this close right now with my resources, if we pull together with other resources, we can you know get there 100%. So I definitely want to start talking to more people about that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's hard for everybody to talk about money, especially in the
Right,
beginning.
right.
And I think, at least from my approach, and I would imagine that it would kind of translate to be helpful for you, um, is that when I'm trying to help somebody with telling their story. So let's say this guy that runs he's the manufacturer of these cameras that I use.
Hmm.
Um, he's got a small budget, but at the same time, I value our relationship.
Right.
But it's also like I can't do it for free, and he knows that. But it's like, what can I do that's reasonable? I'd say, like, let's say I don't know, I don't even know what the brief is yet, but let's say that he said, hey, I need a social media campaign,
Hmm.
graphics and like a video, and I need to tell the company's story and so on and so forth. And it's like, how much would that cost? I don't know. I'm gonna throw a number out. I'm gonna say 10 grand. And he'll say, what the heck are you smoking? And like that's ideally what I'd like to get. But given that uh I have such a good relationship with him, and he and I have, like, he actually sent me. I got it over there. I still got to set it up. He just last week sent me over his newest. He gave it to me. His newest time lapse camera.
Nice.
Um, and yeah, these things aren't real cheap. They're not super expensive, but like the tech in this one, I'm very
It's
excited about. Like from a camera perspective, like the sensor and everything else. This is
yeah.
the first one. His other stuff has been real good, but as a camera geek, I'm looking at the aperture and the maximum ISO and like like the sensor size and like all this stuff. And this one I'm like, ooh, this is good. I'm excited for this one. And I get to keep it. So, and
Nice.
he
Nice.
didn't say like, this is yours if you do a review for me, or like, this is yours if you whatever. It was just like, hey man, I got a new one, I want to give this to you. It's like, shh, all right, cool. um but going back to the dollar amount, um for students, a lot of times they're told don't ever do anything for free because it devalues your work, and I understand that to an extent.
Right.
But if it makes sense to do it because you believe in what it is, and they're not trying to take advantage of you, it's like, hey, like, I don't have the funds for this, and I want to get this message out, and like, as the company.
It's
um
it's it's funny that you bring that up. The whole don't work. The student mentality. The book that I'm currently reading, Mike How To by Michael Barut, he actually touches on that subject pretty pretty well in my opinion, because he has a good friend from high school that used to, because he kind of dipped his toe in the graphic design by designing posters for school plays in high school.
Hmm.
And one of his good friends was somebody who was always like the lead or the most obnoxious person in the play. And one day he hit him up and he was like, "Hey man, I have this theater. I need help designing posters for some plays that are coming up, and I would like you to do it for me." And like he actually says, like there's this thing about, oh, you shouldn't work for free. But he feels as though things like this for like a friend, you know what I mean? It's it's fun because it's so free. You don't have to worry about, okay, I'm getting paid for this. How do I accomplish this? And with these projects that he's doing for the theater, it's just like this is just me having fun with my friend, and like our phone call. I'm pulling up because it's how he talks about the phone call is like, "Hey, how you doing, Mike?" He's like, "I'm doing great. How are you?" And it's like I got some work. He's like, "Cool, let's do it." Like kind of like how we talk. Like I say, let's run it. He's
Yeah, yeah,
like, let's do this.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and it's just like the idea of like you could do free work if you want to. I mean, but if you do free work, just make sure it's something fun that you like doing. Don't don't do it because you feel like it's gonna build your portfolio. I mean, it will, but you know, do fun free work. Don't do you know stupid
I
free work.
I think a really good way to put that is like, don't do free work because the person that's hiring you doesn't value you. I think
Right.
that's the biggest thing. And so, like, if you go to company X and they're like, we'll pay you in pizza and Coke, like, that's,
Oh, I love Coke.
like one slice of pizza and like one of those mini Cokes. It's like,
Ooh.
that's, I think that that's really what the root of the problem is that there's
Yeah.
so many students that feel like they have to take on free because it's like, as a student, you're like, I don't know anything yet. Like
Right.
you feel like you should know everything and you don't know anything, but you know a lot more than the average bear. Like you
Right.
take my wife, who's a very creative person, you take her and throw her in front of the Adobe suite, she's not going to know what the hell to do. Whereas a student, they might not be the best at design yet, but they're going to know,
Right.
depending on
Yeah.
where they are in their student journey, they're going to know, at least be familiar with the interface. And right there
Exactly.
is there's value there. It might not be $10,000 worth of value, but there's value. And I think that that's the biggest thing, is that's actually, this conversation helped give me clarity in that too, with don't do it for people that don't value you. That's the biggest thing. So like your friend, with the boards, like you could do something for free if that makes sense. But at the same time, you could tell your friend like, hey man, I'd love to do this 100% for free for you, but I have rent to pay, or I
Right.
have my mortgage. And
Right.
so I can only give you, because I need to go be chasing this other work, or I need to be getting other work. So like I can give you 10 hours of my time, or whatever. And your friend's gonna be like, yeah, man, I appreciate anything you can give me, and whoop, and whatever else. So um, I think there's that value, and like you said, it's fun. And at the end of the day, if you're working in your craft, that's like you're working on your craft.
Hmm.
So that's so cool.
So yeah, man, and like just reading this book kind of been stoking a fire for me recently.
Hold
I'm
it up.
doing
Did
things.
did you show
Uh,
people the book yet?
so this the book right here. How to use graphic design to sell things, explain things, make things look better, make people laugh, make people cry, and every once in a while change the world by Michael
Yeah.
Baruch. It's a good read. This is the I guess second version of it. There's a first version that's pretty cool I hear, but he goes through a few of the projects that he's worked on. He did the rebrand for the New York Jets. I know you're kind of booing that right there. Let me see if it does it? Nah.
No, it's
Okay.
all about positivity,
Positivity. Okay.
D.Will.
What about
Yeah.
double gunning? No double guns. All right.
Nothing.
So
Nothing.
there
There we
it is.
go.
Yeah, like I can actually show a few. One of my favorite designs or campaigns that he did was Next Wave, and that's with the Brooklyn Academy of Music, and just the simplicity of the branding,
I
where it
like
was
that.
like, yeah, and it's he didn't create a logo for it. He just created consistent branding for it, and that became the logo. So like just
Oh yeah,
having everything kind of go off the page and not really like stay. So like that's their coffee cups right there, and then what that
yeah,
ended up turning into was the that BAM right there.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
their official logo now, and
Okay.
just how idea of everything kind of coming off is like, I think it's super dope, and like
I've
just
always loved
getting
that
them.
look of
Yeah,
like that cut off stuff is either covered some degree or like
elements
the
playing with each
letters.
other.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's really cool. The as we would say in the design world, visual tension.
exactly.
It's yeah.
Like something about just symmetry is boring.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
like
mean
it's
it can
in
have it it can have its place. You're making me think of the one of the other designers that we used to work with and like everything was like
symmetrical.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
tried being designerly and that wasn't not to poo poo on any other designer's way of being. That was just
Hey,
it.
if you
There
like
was
symmetry, that's cool, you know.
that's yeah. There's total value in that, but like for me, like it never got past that. I'm like, well, we're not designing based
It's
off of the deliverable. We're just
yeah.
making symmetry, and so there's
Yeah.
more than just symmetry. So
And
um,
it's certain things. I think reason why I like asymmetrical stuff because it's just natural. You know, even the human body is asymmetrical. You know, like my head leans, my chest comes out, my hips lean, my knees go out. So it's like, you know, I just feel like it's a better flow. Asymmetry
yeah,
flows better than symmetry, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
yeah, yeah,
There's a place for symmetry.
yeah. So go back to because I think that I interrupted you and we went on a different track. So what was
Mhm.
I think you were talking about Chat GPT on the next step or something with bef
So right now, it's the main focus is on my business plan. I kind of want to get that done by early next week. And not to say like completely done, but just something laid out where I can go through, skim it, have people review it, and refine it. After that is going to be my campaign because I figured that my first client should be myself, right? I should be able to, at least, showcase something on my end, like, okay, this is what I did for my company, let me replicate this for your company or something, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I kind of want to have something to show for that. And I want to work with ChatGPT to figure out a game plan for a good campaign. I have some ideas, want to shoot it by it and then see how to refine it and, talk to you about it, talk to a few other designers about it and, kind of build that, you know, that work rapport with other brands and see where it goes from there.
yeah. Yeah, so two other points that I'd like to make. One real quick, going
Hmm.
back to the goals. One thing that you might want to plug in there is not just financial goals, but for me, I told Chat, I said, hey, I really want to buy a house. That's like our biggest thing is buying a
Yeah.
house. But I'm like, we got zero money right now. And right now, the way the prospects are, it's like ridiculous because it's so
Right.
costly. But I said, I want you to help remind me periodically that I'm doing this for financial freedom so that I can give my wife a good retirement, give her security with buying a house. And like buying a house is a big focus for us right now. It's
Yeah.
not, even if we had the money right now, I wouldn't necessarily want to buy one because they're so overpriced at this point for what
Hmm.
you get. But keeping that in mind from a personal stake and telling chat that that's one of the things that's driving me. Like I'm giving it more information about me and what drives me so that it can kind of best um, dictate some of its advice, like that one about the value proposition. And it's like
Hmm.
brand essence. It's like it knew me well enough based off of our thousands and thousands of words of conversation that that would resonate with me more than value proposition. And like it knocked it out in one shot. Like um, so I'd say that maybe add that to your goals, not
Okay.
necessarily of like, oh, for my business goals, I know you got a place, but like, maybe it's Maserati, but like as a personal goal and part of the reason that drives you, I want to get a Maserati, chat. Like that's my lifelong dream, whatever it is. Um, but maybe adding that. Um, and then like you can also add to make it a little more quantifiable. You could say like I want to do it in 5 years, 2 years,
Right.
whatever.
Okay.
Um, and then I had another point that I was going to bring up, but I didn't write it down, unfortunately. So I lost track. So what was the last thing that you had said?
About doing the campaign or working with the working with
Oh, our
ChatGPT.
story, our story.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I was talking to Chad about was, and I mentioned this earlier about like, hey, I'm going to be doing this thing with D.Will, and I described to some degree your company,
Hmm.
and we were so synonymous. We're doing very similar things with very similar target audiences. And I said, what value does this have with my current strategy and so on and so forth? And I even told it earlier as part of the conversation that we had uh, going down a certain rabbit hole. It had said, show your portfolio of work. Also, what is it when testimonials, client testimonials? And I told it, I
Hmm.
said, I do have some work that I can show, but it's not necessarily story driven on a lot of it. And then the other stuff for two things, a lot of the clients that I've done work for were either not directly for me, they were for the company that I left. And even ones that 124 Productions was actually listed on the invoice, um, a lot of times the clients are it's confidential stuff. We can't share that stuff because
Right.
there's sensitive information potentially, or political whatever. And so it gave me it's like, yep, that's a common thing, especially for startups. So maybe this is what you can focus on. So going back to this conversation, it said given like I remember saying given that you don't really have a lot that you can show new potential clients, focusing on your own story and developing your story and sharing that story uh,
Right.
will help people feel more in touch with you. And so like this conversation was a natural, and I kind of felt this way too, but it kind of clarified that this was a natural progression
Mm.
for building my brand story so that I can help. Exactly what you said. Like, this is what I did for me.
Right.
I want to do it for you, you know?
Right.
Um, so like that's another reason why ChatGPT kind of gave me some good advice, even things, and I say this in the video that you're going to see on Friday, with tomorrow. Um, oh well, right now it's tomorrow, but this video right now that we're doing probably isn't going to post till Monday. So,
Oh, okay.
Friday, what's today? What's today's date?
Today is the fourth.
The fourth. So on the fifth, I'm going to post that video of ChatGPT and like, how it's become a partner and stuff. Um, so that's my YouTube thing. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah. So I even said it in that video, like chat gave me so many things. It's like, oh, you want to do business strategy? Here's what you need to do. And I'm like, that's
Mm.
overwhelming. I already know those steps, but it's still overwhelming, especially to see it. Like it was like, nope, I just want to go stick my head in the corner. And I was like, okay, so that's overwhelming, and so I need you to kind of walk me through the process. And knowing it, the point that I'm trying to make is knowing the stuff. You can tell people all day, like you can be the professional to be like, hey, these are the steps you need to take. But when it's on them, it's different. When it's on you, at least for me, when it's on me, it's easier to get overwhelmed with like there's a laundry list of stuff that I have to do. And in each one, it's not just like step one, put laundry in or put clothes in the washer. Step two, turn on washer with soap in it. It's like you just see so much. And so it helped me work through each individual step on such a like, and I was like, yep, that's still overwhelming or still intimidating. I said, can we do this a little bit easier? Can you like walk me through the process? And it went step one and it broke down step one to very manageable pieces. And so I was able to, from that point, explain the what like my background
Hmm.
in answering those questions. And I was able to go like very in depth with my explanation. And then it just made that succinct, or it has more information now to pull from so that it knows who I am and what drives me and whatnot. So yeah, so those are the only 2 points, but you triggered that with your telling your story
Uh,
to tell other people's stories, and there's a lot of value in that. You know,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
almost like spec work.
You said spec work?
Spec work, yeah,
Oh, spec work.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's and it's fun. It's definitely gives me a chance to really, you know, I guess mine into what it is I really want to do and what the story is, and because what is it? It's like I know what the story is when it comes up to now, but now it's like I get to build it for what it's going to be in the future, right? So
hmm
it's definitely a daunting idea, but it's fun to think about. It's like, how do I want to, you know, how is my hero's arc going to,
yeah,
you know, going to peak and conclude?
yeah. I honestly, I feel excited about this, about being more. I guess we'll wrap up here. At least for me, I feel excited and kind of empowered using ChatGPT, but I feel
Mhm.
excited more of being that business owner that's a photographer or
Definitely.
a storyteller versus being a photographer or a storyteller that also does business. Like
Right.
I've been able to transition that and wear that business hat more over the last, I'd say, month when I kind of started to really make that transition mentally. And then in the last week using ChatGPT, that helped give me so much clarity that I don't feel alone in this process.
Mm. Yeah, it's weird. It's like well, not weird, but it's yeah, I definitely feel the same because it's like you said, it's somebody that, or not somebody, it's something that you can reach out to. Be like, I got a question at night at 2 a.m. I know all other homies are
Yeah.
asleep. Let me go ask ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's definitely it's comforting to know that you have chat, but it's also it's like it, and it's not like I don't feel like it makes you lazy either, because that was one of my biggest fears, was that like, oh, I'm going to rely on it for everything and have it answer all my questions on how to do something, or write anything. But no, it's like some of the answers that it gives me, I have to dive deeper and think, put a little bit more thought into what I'm asking it, and then certain things I actually have to go look up online and be like, okay, what is this? So yeah, it's definitely a solid resource.
Yeah. Yeah. I was worried about that too because I love writing and
Yeah.
I get verbose sometimes in my writing. My dad was a poet, my grandmother was a poet.
Hmm.
And so I wax poetic sometimes with how I speak. And so it can, I mean, I'm already long-winded to begin with. So, it's just kind of like that old school writing style.
Yeah.
Um, and so one of the things was I didn't want to lose that. And I don't want to fall prey to like, oh, just write this thing for me, but it
Right.
does help me create a little bit more clarity with not just my business stuff, but like whatever it's basically I'm talking to it about. Like
Hmm.
even like the cooking. I was telling you the other day, like I was trying a new recipe. I was trying to learn how to do some stir fry, and I'm like, hey
Hmm.
man, this is really um intimidating to me. I know it sounds silly because most people are just like, oh, just throw the stuff in the pot. It's like, yeah, but I haven't done it. So,
So
and I
the
don't
key,
really eat that very often,
yeah, key to
you
stir
know.
fry is you don't throw everything in a pot. You throw everything in a pot at different times, so that way it reaches their
Yeah.
peak. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I knew like I've done marinade before, but it's like okay, I'm working with tofu. This is extra firm tofu, and then but I haven't used soy sauce and rice vinegar to this degree. So like
Mhm.
is an hour too long? Like I was asking these questions, and then like even I was like, okay, I also have herbs like mint and basil. You had mentioned Thai basil. Is basil still good, or is that too
Uh,
different? And like so, it was saying, well, you can use basil, but it's use it sparingly because the taste is a little bit differently. And I'm like, okay, I
yeah,
want to keep this as traditional as possible. So, what would recommendations? It's like maybe you should not have basil. So it was like having that that person, that professional consultant, that
yeah,
sous chef, um, kind of guide me through the process. So yeah, it's been so versatile, and I know that I'm just like scratching the surface, but I haven't felt, to your point, lazy. I felt like I've actually been more productive, um, and in this whole process of the things that I want to do. So because it's helped to kind of like help me drill down. And
hmm
I even said to it the other day, like, hey, based on all these things that we're doing, I think that maybe a workshop is a little bit too much, or by June or in June is a little bit too much. So what are other projects that I can work on that would produce more financial immediate financial gains that I could do relatively quickly. And one of the things was an ebook, and I already wrote one ebook a while
hmm
ago. It's very different. I was in a different place, but um, that doesn't feel as daunting. And it gave me kind of like a timeline and like, oh, 30 to 40 pages based off of what you're talking about and so on and so. So it can help me. It's like I want to like give me some ideas for titles or um, SEO that would help with promoting this book and so on and so forth. And um, so, oh God. So um, yeah, I feel like that laziness is a or that potential for laziness is definitely a threat, but so far I haven't really felt that.
yeah. Yeah. And likewise, it's like like I said, that was one of my biggest concerns coming into it. But like I said, it's more so as to manage my thoughts. Especially when it comes to trying to word certain things. It definitely comes in clutch for that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, I think we're at an hour and almost 15 minutes.
Hey,
Um, so I think that's a pretty good time frame. Yeah.
yeah, that
Okay.
sounds good to me.
Cool. So you and I will do this fairly regularly. We're already doing this, talking on the phone constantly about this stuff. So the idea is just to kind of capture some of that and throw it on um, wherever, YouTube or whatever. We still got to figure out where we're going to put this, but hopefully,
Right.
if other people have been watching this, hopefully they got something from it. And if ChatGPT is listening, we welcome our new AI overlords. It's the end of what this is.
Chat
So
cheat. We're gonna be the slaves to chat.
yeah. So why don't you close this out here, D?
uh, well, man, it's been a pleasure talking to everybody and talking to Dave as usual. I'm super excited about building this year and accomplishing goals. And as I say to everybody, tap into your potential.
There you go. All right. Well, since you gave your tagline, I'll say mine. Be good to each other.
Hey, yeah, I'm gonna get you with that right there. Boom.
Oh, that's the way to go out. I'm so jelly.
There it is.
There it is. All right, man. You take
All
it
right,
easy.
bud. You too.
All right,
All right, peace.
there it is.